Good evening, guys. Rusty here, and welcome back to Impact Dynamics Live. Hope you guys are well. You've had a wonderful Tuesday? Good day to the guys who are just starting in the chat. Hello, Anthony. Hope you're doing well, mate. It has been day one of Team Impact happening, by the way, if those who are involved, which just very, very briefly, quickly, last night we kicked off a thing where you use Team Impact, and the goal is that in 2 weeks we're going to sort of catch up and see where everyone's done whatever goals it is. So I'm working on dropping some weight and dry firing 4 times a week, which will be live streaming, and Emma's working on push-ups, bumping an extra 20 push-ups, and all sorts of guys in the chat were looking at getting reloading setups done. I had a chat to a number of guys. One's gone off the booze for 2 weeks. Madness. But anyway, they've chosen to do that, so that's awesome. And all sorts of challenges are happening out there. So if you're doing that, tag us in or use hashtag, if you're on Instagram, hashtag Team Impact, and we'll see that and share it out and spread the good news. We've got videos coming in from Dave Acker, from Emma, from Andy Little already of the stuff that they have been doing. So I've got one of those to play for you in a moment. All good. Hello, Scott. Craig, Kenny, Steve, Brad, Steve, all sorts of guys in the chat. Awesome, great to be here tonight. As you probably know, Ash Pauna is joining us. He was won the first series of PRS in Australia. I came third last year. Went over to the finale in the US as well, and has shot extensively. So, yeah, awesome, good stuff. Good stuff. A little bit on sponsors tonight. So one thing, we have a special product. I don't know if you guys have seen one of these at all. Make sure that's sort of somewhat in focus. It's a horny concentricity tool. We can make sure that your bullets and cases are all doing the right thing and tidy them up a little bit if they're not. That's normally $297. If you jump on $297 retail, $267 normally. But if you jump on Impact Projectile Warehouse, I'll get my websites correct shortly, and you use the code ID Live as opposed to ID Live 5, ID Live, and that'll come down to $250 delivered. If you want one of those, there's only one, by the way, only one. So grab one of them. The whole 5% works on website. So if you're using the code ID Live 5, you will get 5% off the entire range at Projectile Warehouse. And also, if you're wanting to look amazing, jump over to precisionrifleseries.com.au. Use the code ID Live 10. Save 10% off any Stage 1 merch. It's all happening. Anyway, so now Andy Little, guy, one of the crew behind Team Impact, and it was on the show last night. You saw one video from him last night where he was talking about using things in your own world for a workout, because we can't go to gyms. Not that I would anyway, but so he threw me a video, another one that he was looking at doing. So apparently this is from him. I'm not sure what he's got into, but we'll see. Here we go.
Hey guys, we're all
this
stuck
motion
in
here,
isolation here.
getting it up,
closed. Can't get out too much.
Some of us have an issue getting it up,
keep
but
fit. I can't get to the gym to pump these
it's all
guns.
about leverage.
So I've got my guns to pump the guns.
You're going on a barricade.
All right. These things can get pretty heavy.
When you're on that barricade and you're
Why not
taking that
use it?
shot, you might have a bag or something else inside a hand. You've got to get this rifle up with one hand. Back down.
Yeah.
Up again. Back down. See how many times you can do that. Swap arms. It's like curls, man. It's hardcore. Get it up. Get it up. This also works your legs. Good for the one-legged squats, you know. Yeah, just work on a bit of this. You know, we all need to be able to carry these things around all day, lift them in and out of awkward positions. 10 minutes a day doing this thing will feel light as.
I swear, if this isolation thing lasts more than another month or two, that dude's going to have guns bigger than my 223 barrel. That he's madness. He's all into it. Anyway, I hope his yoga is going well. Hopefully, he's done that. I haven't seen any videos or photos from that yet. I'm sure that will be coming. Guys, if you are in the chat and you're doing the Team Impacts challenges, just let us know if you did anything today to work towards your goal. That'd be awesome to keep that accountable. Just I did this, or I don't know, ran. Why would you run? I walked for half an hour. Whatever it is that you did. I know Sheldrake started editing some videos that he was working on. So awesome. Just chuck that in there, and no doubt you will see some encouragement. My guest tonight is Ash Pauna, as it said at the top, works at APRS and has been shooting the PRS basically in inception. Actually, he shot the 2017 PRI, which we were talking about on Friday night, and he has, I guess, gone from reasonable shooter to actually one of the best shooters in PRS, and has then taken out the 2018 season and did really well. She won one match in 2019, ended up finishing the season third, I believe, and is a wealth of knowledge, but also quite unassuming. You wouldn't necessarily pick it. So we got to delve into what he knows and wrench it out of him, because there's a lot of knowledge going on there, and he doesn't. He stays fairly quiet. You never quite know what's going on. So it's good. One of the smoothest, coolest shooters I've seen, and here he is. Anyway, Ash, hopefully we've got you. Jump on board, mate. How are you?
Yeah, doing well, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, going well. How's things at APRS? You keeping busy making guns?
Yeah, that's it. Keeping very busy, so it's actually going really well. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, I guess people jumping in before the price rise and all sorts of stuff. That's the way to do it. Make the most of what you can, and a really good opportunity if you are going to build a gun. Like, often you have to wait for quite a while for guns to be built. Generally, now might be a good time because we can't use them. Well, many of us can't use them anyway.
Exactly right.
Are you getting any chance to shoot at all, Ash, or is it all work and recovery at the moment?
I've shot once, I think, probably since running gun.
Yeah, so, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
just mainly work at the moment.
Mm. And because you
definitely
just after the running gun, you busted your ACL.
ACL, yep, correct. So did that, had reconstruction about a week and a half later, and now I'm just on the rehab. So
yeah, right. And that's what, 6 months or something, is it?
Yeah, that's what they reckon. So chose a good time to do it because I've missed nothing, to be honest. So
yeah, like you have like delayed the entire PRS season just to wait for you to get better, and then probably the day you're like back onto it will be all clear to go. So I see what's going on here. I see what's happening.
I'll take the blame for that one. Yeah, no worries.
Fantastic, man. Now, give us a little bit about sort of your history, particularly around guns and shooting. Where did it all kick off for you? Because I know at some point you were into snowboarding. So how did we get to here?
Well, I still have a go at snowboarding once a year, but probably I think about 7 years ago, me and my mate just wanted to get our gun licenses. I lived up in New South Wales at the time, and then talked Dad into getting his license as well. Mm-hmm. We just kind of got into it as a hobby. First gun was overkill with a 22-50, so the 22 would have been a better option.
Yep.
I think I've shot that one once in the last 5 years since moving to South Australia. So,
okay.
At the time when I got into firearms, I was studying at uni agriculture, and probably my last year, so it's pretty different. But in my last year, I probably studied more about guns than I did my actual degree. So,
nice, yeah. Okay.
Got into it that way, and then met up with the APRS Night Force group at a SHOT show. It would have been back in 2014, I reckon, and just asked questions. Yeah. And then chased them for a job for 6 months, and then ended up starting there 2015. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 5 years. Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah, cool. And what so you start off in the hunting side of things, which is a pretty common story. And was that was, you said you were studying agriculture. Did you sort of come across it because of that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I guess me and my mate wanted to get into it.
Yeah, right.
We didn't even really do a whole lot of hunting. We had a friend out west. We'd probably go and visit twice a year and maybe get in a shooting trip here or there. But it was the good old St Mary's gun range. It was out to 50 metres. It was probably the local shooting spot for us, and it was a place I never really want to go back to be honest. So.
Is that purely because 50 metres isn't enough, or is there other reasons?
50 metres isn't enough. Indoor range is allowed, and then there's always someone watching over your shoulder, watching every single little thing you do. So, I do enjoy the outdoor ranges just a bit more. So,
yeah, right. And where did you progress into the longer range sort of stuff? Where did that interest come from?
That interest was there back then. Okay. I reckon second gun was a 300 Win Mag in a Remington.
Yep.
And I went and bought the 5R mil spec, and I thought, this will be good to go. And I had a big plan in my head. I was going to change the stock, change the barrel, change the trigger, and be stuck with the same action. So I sold that gun without putting a round through it.
Yep.
And went and bought my first Defiance action. So
start at the top.
I figured I was going to spend all of the money otherwise. So I figured, what's an extra $1,000 on the action? So yeah,
nice. And how did you learn to shoot? Or did you sort of self-taught, or what? Was there any sort of influences you had back then?
Yeah, majority of it was self-taught, to be honest.
Yep.
Get things wrong and learn from it. That's pretty much the start of it. Yeah. So I did pick up a 22 in there at some point, and you can get a few more rounds down range with that, a bit cheaper than the 250 and the Win Mag I didn't shoot. I've still got the boxes of ammo I bought with that gun that I haven't done anything with. But it's all really self-taught. We'd actually, me and Dad, it was more. We started doing a bit of long range, just out to 200 metres at home with the 22, and just enjoy chasing the precision or the accuracy side of it. And just went from there. Just research upon research, and that all started with that. Really, probably done more theory than practical when I was first starting out. Anyway, so.
That's not actually necessarily a bad thing. It can
not at all.
A few good skills. Yeah. Is there a particular skill that you developed or you picked up early on that you've carried through that's been super important?
Ooh.
Tough questions.
I don't know the answer to that one yet. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to think about that one.
Still a work in progress. I like it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, at what point did the PRI come along? Like, where in the journey was that? Was that your first comp, or was it first long range comp, or?
That was the first comp I'd ever shot.
Yep.
I'd only just built up my Defiance, so built a 6.5 Creedmoor, and it probably had 50 rounds on it.
Yeah, right.
I hadn't done much work at all with it, so yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. And how did you go? How did you go with that? How do you feel you shot for your first comp and first time out doing that sort of thing?
I couldn't argue with it, to be honest. It is what it was, and I learnt a lot. Straight after that, I went and cut it was 27-inch barrel, cut 2 inches off the end, put a muzzle brake on. That was probably the biggest change that I made to the firearm after actually using it out in the field properly. So
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And then you went on, so that was 2017, and then you went on to win the 2018 series. So, I mean, that must be a lot going on in that year and a half period. What did you do?
I reckon so.
Yeah.
Because was it the 2016 PRI?
2017.
And then
No, it's 2017. Yeah.
Yeah, righto. Because then there was a Mildura PRS match that year as well, wasn't it?
Correct, yeah. 2 months after there was the Mildura one. Yeah. And
okay, yeah.
And then, if I'm going to get this wrong, but you were like top 10?
Yeah, six actually. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, so it was a bit of a learning curve, I think, even just between the PRI and that first PRS match, really.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the muzzle, you just all credit to the muzzle brake?
I reckon it helped a lot. Just being able to see where see where your shots were going. And
Yeah.
even with a heavy varmint 27-inch barrel, I was jumping off target, and being able to spot your shots was just difficult. So, yeah.
Yeah, nice, mate. Nice. And then we there was no more PRS matches the rest of that year. But then we kicked back in I don't know, I'll get all the dates wrong, April or something
March,
like
April.
that.
Yeah.
April, I think. For 2018. And then you smashed that season out. What happened?
Yeah. Ooh, I'd like to say I know 100%, but there was a fair... I think I went home after that first PRS and decided I was going to start and build a few barricades at home and start dry firing.
Yeah, right.
That was probably, one of the biggest helps, I think. Hadn't really PRI and then the first PRS match. I think all the learning curves I've had were pretty steep ones. They were at matches more than anything. So you learn the hard way. You spend the money to enter the match and to, I guess, travel, everything like that, just for a learning experience. But I think they're the ones that I've learned the most. So
that's a really fair point. Like you say, it's a steep learning curve, but you do pack a lot of lessons into a very short time frame. It costs you a bit of money to do so, but it gives you a really good place to direct your attention to.
Oh, it really does. And any mistake there, you notice those a lot more than you do in any other situation.
Yeah.
So
that's a really fair point.
Yeah, when they cost you points.
Because they mean something. Yeah, they don't mean something, but they do mean something, and you can quantify that you missed these shots or those shots, and so it really narrows it down. Yeah, okay. And so was it really in what are we talking, nearly a year or 6-7 months or so? Was it really just dry firing regularly?
That was the majority of it. Yeah. Didn't really have too many ranges to get out to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when we did, it was usually with a mate, and he'd want to always go and shoot out at a K. And so, you only learn so much doing that. But I think it really was just dry fire, and I guess using any opportunity to get out and shoot as well. Did a little bit of hunting in that little time frame, but it wasn't huge. I was just shooting out of windows and things like that. So just I guess, and I probably only used the one rifle over that time frame as well.
Yeah.
So just getting used to knowing your rifle, and getting used to the trigger, running the bolt, different things like that. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Got a couple of questions coming in, mate. If we jump over to those for a moment. Ian asks, do you chase accuracy through your reloading process? Can you tell us a bit about reloading and what you do with that?
Oh, so I can tell you that I was very lucky that I had a big helping hand from a friend when I first loaded for the 6.5. Okay. We're actually really lucky. We went to the range and shot factory ammunition. Mm-hmm. Got the muzzle velocity out of that, and then loaded up Burger 140s, and then we loaded from 40 grains and jumped up every grain up until 45, just looking for pressure.
Yeah,
45 was definitely hot, and then we settled for 42 grains, and then the first load we did with that, it was 3 shots touching, and I didn't really know what that meant that much at the time, but it was. Yep. I just assumed that, we'll run with that, and if we'll improve it if we ever need to. But that was probably the most, I guess, accurate and consistent fire gun. I reckon for the first one, I kind of fell on my feet there. I was quite lucky. But so it was more accuracy over chasing accuracy or groups, or what was the main part of that question?
I think a lot of guys go down the path of trying to get the most accurate thing they can. And I think the offset, perhaps the back end of this question is, and what it sounds like is you sort of, you got something that shot well and then moved on to practicing and dry firing and doing other things that may have more 100%. Of an impact. Yeah.
So once we had that load, I used that same load for 3,000 rounds on that barrel. Yeah, I did not tweak it once.
Yeah.
Even when we did the first initial load, I didn't even measure bullet jump or anything. It shot, so we stuck with it. Mm-hmm. As time went on and we started playing with like the speeds on it were only 27-20, so it was really, really quite slow, just slow and consistent. And yeah, you can waste a lot of time shooting group after group, and it depends. You might get a bit of a breeze here, or you might just have a bad day shooting, and you can end up chasing your tail doing that. So
Sure.
You can aim for 3 shots, like 3 shots touching, or if it's close enough to half inch for me, I'll run with that for. Yeah. It just depends on the day. Sometimes you shoot better than others, so it's yeah. I think spending more time dry firing and actually getting out there using the rifle is probably a bit more beneficial than chasing the smallest group for me.
It's I think it's important to sort of work that out, what works for you, and I think many guys, if they boil it down, will say time spent on actual practical shooting or dry firing will net a lot more results in the same amount of effort, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Very good, man. And so through 2018, I guess, but it's in general, like, what are some of the key things you've found that have really had that impact on your shooting? And we talked obviously about dry firing. Is that something you've kept up doing during this period?
Yeah, I still do dry fire, and I find that the smallest target that you can dry fire at, and you just notice even how far your rifle moves just with the click of the trigger, and what direction it moves and things like that. Like, I focus from the lounge room into the kitchen, so I can focus down to 10 yards with the scope.
Yep.
But just the hot and cold taps, the O in the hot and the O in the cold.
Yeah, nice.
It works perfectly fine. So
yep.
I can get the center dot and the reticle just inside the O on each one, and if I can break a shot while it's still inside the O on either of those, then I'll call it. I'm pretty happy with that. So just nice. Practicing on smaller targets. And then I reckon even before that first match of 2018, we had a friend's property out just outside Mildura, and so either the Thursday or the Friday morning we went out there, and me and Jamie just went out and put a target out at 500 or 600 meters, and we just practiced at that. So just smaller target, aiming at smaller targets, and I guess practicing on smaller targets, it actually helps a lot.
It's been a big one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it really does, and you can just being able to pick which edge you go off, or if you go under or over or left or right, it just improves your skills that way. So
yeah, fantastic. I remember years ago, I don't know if you ever shot on them. I probably did it at one of the comps, but the bullseye targets, which are the same sort of concept where you'd have this relatively small target, maybe 1,000 meters or 800 or something like that. But then you had this huge big target on the outside, and depending on the stage or if you're just practicing, that counts for something or it doesn't count for something, or it's negative points or whatever it might be. And but then you actually at least get the data of where that bullet's going. I think it's important what you say there, like using small targets. Sometimes, depending on the layout of the range you're on, sometimes you could miss your small target and you go, I missed. I don't know where that went.
Where'd that go?
Yeah, but I think the important thing you say there is knowing where you missed to and being able to adjust and correct that. Yeah. Do you find that, like, on dry firing, when you pull the trigger and let's say under the just the click, it jumps to the right, for example, do you find that translates then on live fire like that? You will see that you tend to go to the right more?
Well, I've found that with the dry firing, if it jumps a certain direction, I guess your shoulder or your body touching the rifle helps induce that as well. And so you can keep practicing until you get it down to where it's not actually moving. And that's when it actually feels like you would have made a good shot. Is just you've got no other influences on the rifle other than just your trigger finger, and it just I guess just working towards breaking a really good shot like that, because I reckon there's been times where I've been guilty of jerking the trigger and it'll pull it right. So just working on the break of the trigger, really, that probably one of the biggest things with dry firing for me. And then I guess building positions on top of that as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, cool, man. Cool. Jonesy has asked, and I guess we probably covered it. Well, we covered at least two of them. Well, your big three to focus on. Now, you talked about dry firing being one, and you talked about using smaller targets. Have you got a third sort of key point that you've put into practice or in training or in comps mindset or whatever it might be?
I don't know if this is a legitimate one, but the morning before competitions, I'd lay down on the floor behind the rifle and just run the bolt as fast as I could, but not as fast as I could, just rapid, but just so it was purposeful and just getting used to the bolt, because I found that to be quite useful. Sometimes you'll break a shot and just pulling the trigger and then going straight back up onto the bolt and loading another round. I guess it's not always handy when you got to move positions and things like that, but just getting used to the feel of your own gun, really. I reckon I'd put it down to that as well. So
that's a really good point. Being familiar with the gun.
Dropping the rifle on bags and how it balances, where you need to, I guess, put the extra effort into to balance it or to square it up. Just that. And I found dropping the rifle on the bags and actually staring over the top of your rifle and your scope and actually aiming it towards a target you're going to be looking at through the scope. Saves a lot of time looking through the scope for the target.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, nice.
So
very good.
Just as long as it's in the general area, and probably a third. If that can all combine into one third comment, that would be it. So
we can let you have as many as you need, man. Whatever you need
Sounds
to get out
good
there.
to me.
But yeah, I like that. So you're basically like, so you'll put your bag down on your barricade and sort of drop the gun in position and sort of maybe as you're heading down behind it, you're trying to watch like that it's actually at least pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, so at least the muzzle is pointing at that target. So
nice.
Not just at the berm it's on, because sometimes there's a number of targets on that berm that you could take a shot at. So
and they don't all count. Yeah, okay, I got it.
Correct.
And then you went through in 2018 and you did very well and shot a bunch of stuff and hit heaps of targets and clearly enough to take the season out. In 2019 you had some more challenges. What did you find sort of harder that second year round? Was there anything particular, or you just didn't have the time to focus on it?
That's a good question. I reckon I was outworked, to be honest. I reckon the better shooters deserve to win. So, there's still a lot of things I still need to work on to improve my shooting. So, that's what I'd put it down to probably in 2019. As simple as it sounds,
I think you've said that to me before, different words, but you've said that you didn't practice perhaps as much as you wanted to, and others practice more, and so you didn't necessarily go backwards. It just others perhaps caught up and kept on going.
That's a fair assessment, definitely. So.
But you're finding, like, is that fair to say across the top, 10, 15, well, probably even larger than that, like people are putting the work in, getting better and making it, more challenging competition?
Yeah, definitely. And it's great to see. Like, it's what you want is more competition. It keeps it interesting. Just gives you something else to aim for as well. So you can definitely see that it is definitely stepping up. So it's quite a few to watch out for at the moment. So it's good.
Which is good. You want to go into a match going, okay, there's a few guys here that could take, because I think my gut feel was that 2020 was certainly heading towards that sort of point. And I'll ask you in terms of, obviously we were not far off. You'd shot the run and gun, which was only going to be 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks before the first comp. Of PRS, and obviously you then suffered the injury. But were you doing some things working towards the season this year?
Yeah, definitely was. Even just coming back to it, we spoke about loads, but I was just tweaking loads, getting. I think shooting's progressed to a point now where we're working on, I guess, perfecting the load in the rifle. I'm going to achieve a little bit more out of it. or be able to at least use that more than I would have in the past. And then I was actually dry firing multiple times a week, and then getting to the range, I guess, whenever I could. So
nice.
I was gearing up for it. I was pretty ready for the year. I had two guns ready to go. I had all my projectiles. I was just sorted. So it was it's a bit of a shame that it hasn't kicked on, but I'm not sad that I'm not missing it because of my knee either. So
yeah, well, that's
that's
the
a bit
thing.
greedy on my side, but
it's sort of well, you got to draw all the positives you can from it, man. Like it's we were about to all get ready to rock and roll, and then you couldn't, and then no one could. So hopefully it lines back up. So that's awesome. Just take a quick aside, guys who are watching. Thanks so much for doing so, and I hope you're enjoying it. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Ben from Ironside Coffee is coming on board, but he does a whole stack more than that. Runs a podcast and all sorts of other things. So we're going to be asking him about that. He's got a military background. He's a big supporter of the PRS, and look forward to getting to know him better. If you haven't already checked out his podcast. Also, tomorrow night is a Zoom room hangout. So after the show, if you're around, jump on, and we'll put the numbers up of the room at the end of the show. You can all jump in there, and we'll just, as I say, stare at each other and show off guns or show off anything else that you guys are working on. Or if you're doing Team Impact thing, then tell us a little bit more about what your goals are. That, or if you haven't worked out what you want to try and achieve in the next couple of weeks, or you're thinking about for the next cycle, we can talk about all of that. So we'll see. You guys direct the conversation. We'll see how it goes. That's tomorrow night after the show, so about 9 o'clock Eastern time. That will be excellent. Details will be up last sort of 5 minutes or so of the show with Ben. All right, now Ash, you went to the US last year. You were you worked hard and did win a match, and that was able to get you across the line to get over the US. But you had quite an experience over there. You went more than just the comp. What did you get up to?
Yeah, I was felt quite lucky, quite blessed to actually make it over to that one. It was almost a last minute rush to get it all sorted, but I guess once I knew I was going, I did a bit of homework, and I found a 4-day training course that was being held at the K&M shooting complex as well. So I went and spent 4 days doing I guess it's kind of their basic rifle training course and their advanced course smashed into 4 days.
Yeah, right.
So it was 500 rounds over 4 days. It was there was a lot of shooting, a lot of practical, but it was just a really good opportunity to go and I guess learn from Shannon Kay was the lead instructor. So him being the head of PRS, it was definitely geared towards the PRS. So it was a really good experience actually. Yeah,
nice. And so you said it was like a beginner's course moved into an advanced.
Yeah.
Obviously you're pretty experienced, although fairly quickly and rapidly. How did you find the beginner's component of that? Did you still get a lot out of it?
Yeah, I went in pretty open-minded. I would happy to admit where I'm going wrong, and I want to learn as much as possible. So I didn't really see it being an issue going into a part beginner's course as well. It was just good to build on the fundamentals.
Yep.
It's also nice to just get back to basics and focus on those fundamentals really. So just where to aim the rifle, I guess there's even just a good, because I'd never done a proper training course, just to I guess get the confirmation that what you are doing is correct, or you're in working on the right areas sort of thing, and focusing on the right sort of things to improve your shooting. So
it's really good, really good point. And I think that having you talk about a lot of it was self-learned or watching videos or whatever it might have been, and to actually go there with arguably one of the best instructors in the world and go from scratch. Have you seen some implementation from that course that you have adjusted your shooting around?
Yeah, one of the main things I guess is probably working on distance shooting as well. And he broke down even the practice into, I guess, if you've got 100 rounds, you'll shoot I think it was about 40% of those in prone building on fundamentals, and the other 60% you'd do on positional shooting. So just giving you some, I guess, parameters on if you've only got a certain number of rounds, break it down and make them count, really. So that was really handy as well. But yeah, it was just really good to get out and learn as much as possible. Even if it was basics, that sometimes you learn so quickly that you forget some of the basics as well.
Yep.
And yeah, it's simple, but not at the same time. I think we tend to complicate it more than we need to sometimes. So
I think you see that a lot where you guys want to, they figure, oh yeah, pulling the trigger is good, and I've done that plenty of times for this. You're like, you fundamentally come back to that or to breathe. These things just like every time you shoot, they've got to be top of mind, even if you are working on something specific. I think you're spot on, man. How did the other guys in the course deal with having Australian on site? How was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. They just want to hear Aussie slang as often as possible.
Yeah.
I let them down on the cursing department, but that's all right. So.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, I guess they've got Paul Reed over there to make up for it.
Yeah, definitely. One of the other instructors was Buck Holly well from D&H Weapons and a few other, two other shooters that shot the finale as well. So there was definitely a good caliber of teachers there. Yeah, so
awesome.
Yeah,
and I spent
really
spent a brief few moments with Buck at a shot show. Whenever, what was that, 2019 or whatever? Whenever we went over with Butters, good dude. Spoken with him a number of times since. So. Yeah, fantastic, man.
No, definitely.
Now, so we'll just take a pause from the US at the moment. We've got a couple of questions coming through. So if you guys are asking about dry firing, do you use snap caps for your dry firing?
I don't, no. Just some people have got a pretty strong opinion on it that you shouldn't dry fire off without anything in it. But, yeah, I've probably – it'd be in the thousands of trigger pulls now without a snap cap in there, and I have not found any issues with it. So
and I think probably one thing to clarify is centerfire rifles. That's as a general rule. I mean, you build, you work with building the things that they can generally deal with it, no problems, as long as it's we'll say a modern one, a current type one. Perhaps some of the older ones.
Exactly right.
Problems. Yeah, and then rim fires are a bit of a mixed bag, where some rim fires can deal with it. They're designed to, as Jonesy from Lithgow said the other night, and talked about his. Whereas others are definitely a no go, and shotguns, I think we've worked out are a definite
also
no
go as well. Yeah,
but it seems to be. Yeah, you're right. A lot of people get told, oh no, you definitely shouldn't dry fire a centerfire rifle, and I'm like you. I'm perhaps not as many dry fire rounds, otherwise I'd be better at what I'm doing. But plenty of dry fire and no issues. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, definitely.
Emma's she hasn't got a question for you. She's got a little shout out. Been lucky enough to shoot in the same squad as Ash, and always try to get behind him as he shot the stage before me and mimic his movements because you're similar heights, apparently. So
sure.
I'm not sure if she's complimenting you or having a dig at you. I don't never quite know with
either is fine. I'll take either one.
She's usually doing a mixture of both, so fair enough.
Yeah.
One of the guys asked, so what shooting position do you struggle with the most? Have you got a nemesis?
Part of that might be I think everyone struggles with it, but standing unsupported.
Yep.
That one is a struggle, big time. I've been working on it, and I can land a few shots here and there sometimes, but I reckon I've spoken to people in the past and they wanted to go and practice that, and I would, as bad as it sounds, I'd go and practice every other position before we practice that one. And get good on the barricades, because there's usually only maybe one or two shots of that at each match at the most. So you're going to get the most from practicing off the barricades. So
okay. Is there a barricade
There's-
position, like another position without unsupported prone that you
Yeah.
weren't good at, that you've worked on? Has there been one that's been challenging?
I reckon it would be the position between either prone or kneeling,
Oh, yeah. Good call.
a low position like that.
Yeah.
I find it, if you're on your knees and you basically hold yourself up with just abs, or if you're prone, then you're arching your back like crazy. Just working, trying to, I guess, even choose the right position, because you watch someone else do it and they'll be probably a foot taller and they can do one way that get down behind the rifle and it's just not going to work. So,
Yeah. No,
probably
good call.
something like that, I reckon.
Good call. It's one of the more challenging positions. I think, what you thought of in terms of overcoming it, but it really is just trying different situations and probably spending the time that people don't, of just going, all right, this is the position I'm terrible at. I'm just going to try and shoot it 15 different ways and find 3 that work.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
tried every way that you could possibly think of until,
Yeah.
And even if it is just, I've found some one of those really low ones, even just using your shin as almost like a tripod leg sort of thing and holding the rifle up against your shin.
Okay.
Just instead of, if there's too much room between the ground and I guess the bottom of your rifle, just do whatever you can to build a solid position.
Just trying to work out how you get your shin in that position. Maybe you can.
Yeah,
I
no,
definitely can't.
It's not nice, but you make you try. Some of the positions you tried while dry firing, you probably wouldn't do them too often, but you give it a go.
Got it. Okay. So so Andy's one of his team impact challenges to do yoga 3 or 4 times a week. So perhaps he's going to be the man to speak with.
That'd be handy. Yeah.
Be able to bend in all sorts of ungodly ways. So look forward to seeing that video. Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. So back into the US. So you did the course for 4 days, and you had a day or two between that and then the comp starting.
Yeah, had I think 3 days. So that finished the Monday, and then had the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to kind of get sorted. I think Shannon was nice enough to say you can go and shoot the range if you want, but I ended up spending 3 days prepping for the finale with him. So just helping up, put up signs and just cleaning up the area, just get everything ready. So
nice.
It was good to pitch in and help out there as well. So and from the result, some shooting would have helped as well, but that's all right.
Okay. And then so tell us about the comp, because I mean, that's a whole different level. One, because K&M is pretty much a purpose-built range.
Yeah.
And 2, you're talking how many shooters at the finale? 100 and was it?
It was 213 shooters, I think.
Yeah. So
yeah,
give us a bit of an indication of how that felt like going to that, and just obviously the biggest shoots we have here around that sort of 65 or so mark. So it must have been something full on.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. Just even on the, I guess, sighting day, turning up there and just seeing just the volume of people, and with the majority of them actually being shooters, was just, it was impressive. And just waiting for your turn to go and practice on certain barricades, waiting for a spot to go and sight in even. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So
cool. Can you tell us a little bit about, oh, sorry, carry on.
No, you're right. Follow on.
No, I was just going to ask, can you tell us a little bit about the range? Yeah,
the range is very impressive. So they've got, I think, about 6 or 7 different ranges built into the complex. You could probably even go 10 plus. They've got a lot of pistol carbine ranges as well.
Yeah, right.
I guess the main sighting range is from 100 yards all the way out to about 1,200 yards, with mounds every 100 yards from there. So, I guess that was one of the biggest differences going out there. Was I probably should have spent more time with the long range shots, because us shooting out to 6, Darwin with 900, but still consistently shooting out at those distances. Probably could have had a bit more time behind my rifle practicing those. So I'd say that was probably one of the biggest differences. And then just every stage at 90 seconds. So they're probably the 2 main differences I noticed. So
Okay. Yeah, right. And it's, I mean, it seems like a lot of the stuff, the structures and stuff they have are permanently installed there rather than sort of having a range that does multiple purposes. It's a much more dedicated range. How was, I mean, I saw you climbing all over pipes and stuff. How was that for an experience?
No, it was really good because as you said, everything is purpose built. You could run any number of stages off each barricade or obstacle that was on the place. It was just different, really. And every single one was purpose built. You weren't fighting barricades either. Trying to, I guess, with barricades that we have here that aren't permanent, they're not going to be as solid as a permanent barricade. So they're, I guess, being on a more permanent barricade, I guess it does allow you to try and take the shots at longer distances as well.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, being able to sort of, go, well, this is a really solid position. So rather than the 250 meters or 300 meters that you might choose on a range that is not dedicated, you go, put this target at 700, 800, whatever it may be, because you're actually dealing with basically shooting off a bench, like a concrete bench. They're so solid, a lot of the stuff. Yeah, that's
I think we were shooting off tyres out to 900 yards. So definitely, like they were big earth moving tractor tyres. So. Half buried in the ground, so they're not moving, not going anywhere. So
they'll sit there. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, definitely.
And how did you find going into that? Like, did you have expectations of yourself? Of were you just sort of there for the experience and see what happened?
Yeah, I was, as you said, there for the experience. I didn't have any. Ideally, you want to shoot the best you can and have the best result you can. But realistically, I went in there just hoping just to learn and to enjoy it, really. Yep. That was the main thing, to be honest. So it's really surreal as well. You see a lot of the shooters over there on Facebook, Instagram, because we follow their series a lot, and you see names and faces and just being there and shooting beside them and seeing that they run into the same issues you do when you're shooting as well. It's actually quite nice. And you talk about a stage and you struggle with the same thing. So it's actually really good to put names to faces to names, meet people and just learn as much as you can from each other. So
fantastic. And did you get were there any particular people that were in your squad or that you sort of met that, gave you some advice that you remember or anything on those lines?
Yeah, right.
Tough questions, mate.
That's a tough question. Yeah. It was I actually really enjoyed shooting with Luke and George as well.
That's a fair point because the three of you guys were in the same squad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, got a lot of respect for them and their advice and how they see different things on the stage to how you'd see them.
Cool.
And I guess being international shooters, we weren't really paired up. With the top 40 or 50, I think they put them all in the first 5 squads. And so being international shooters, we, I guess, not graded the same as they were, so we weren't able to shoot with the top shooters. So still doesn't stop you from learning, that's for sure. So
well and truly, no doubt you had some good shooters in the squads, and fantastic, man, fantastic. Jump over to a couple of questions, Ash. Did you get to shoot any of those evil semi-autos while you're over there at all?
No, I didn't actually.
No, you
did not shoot. I don't think I did.
No.
I'll be honest, I've probably shot more semi-autos in Australia than I have over in the US. I went out after the finale, actually went out and shot a whitetail, but that was just with a bolt gun. But I was pretty happy with that. So
was that in that sort of area over in Tennessee or
in Tennessee. So
nice, man.
it's good.
Are slings allowed to be used in PRS? Do you use a sling very often, Ash?
Well, I always keep a sling in my bag.
Yeah.
So yes, you can use them, and I'd probably average about 1 or 2 stages a match. I'd attach the sling to my rifle.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it just really depends on the stage and what I think I'll need for it. So it's definitely a piece of kit I wouldn't go without. Fits just in the side pocket, and yeah, it definitely comes in handy. So
I think you can tell the guys who really know how to work a sling because they will use it in quite a significant amount of stage, like 80% or something like that, because they whereas yourself, or certainly at least me, I can use a sling but not super effectively, so I use it
not to its potential.
Yeah, Chris, good way to put it. Yeah, I use it occasionally when you're like, oh, this is probably the only way to make any sense of this stage is to use a sling, rather than going, I could use a sling on this one. Actually, Andrew Stevens points out that each PRS stage will have a list of allowed equipment. That's a really good point, Andrew, that on a particular stage you'll be allowed to use a sling and a bipod, or 2 bags, or 1 bag, or nothing, or everything, or you have to use everything you have with you. So I think that's the variety for guys who are not familiar with that side of things.
Definitely.
What sling do you run out of interest?
I run just a simple, I think it is I'm going to say a hog saddle sling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. I've got the same one, probably.
Yeah. It's just simple. It doesn't have don't think it's got any buckles on it. It's got adjustment buckles, but no disconnect buckles, if that makes sense. So it's just a plain sling, really. So
does it job.
As we said before, I haven't spent enough time with it to get any more out of it, or to think it's holding me back. So
yeah, very good, mate. Very good, guys. We are got a few minutes left, so if you have any questions for Ash, particularly, jump into the chat and put them up now. Before we wrap up, Ash, I was going to ask you a little bit about your dry fire routine, because a lot of guys obviously right now are in a position where dry fire is their only option, with the team impact side of things, being able to set a challenge. What do you do? Like, what is it? If you have 20 minutes and you're like, all right, well, I'm going to spend some time dry firing, or if someone now is thinking, I might set a goal to dry fire 3 times a week or every day. What would you do in that 20 minutes, for example, to be effective with it?
I guess when I was starting to dry fire, just how you would approach a position and building a position. That's probably the first thing to start working on. I was terrible in the beginning to go down. I shoot right-handed, but when I'd kneel, I'd put my left knee up, and then I'd have to switch to get my right knee up. So you waste a few seconds there just building positions. So I guess practice until that becomes the norm as to, I guess, maximising the position for itself before you even start looking through the rifle or looking through the scope. And the next part would be building a position. My gun is pretty heavy, and I do like shooting a heavy rifle. So once you drop it on the bags, it barely moves. And so just building a position where my body's not, moving the rifle is I guess it's got the least amount of contact, but I still have complete control of the rifle. Is probably the best way to put it. I try and get the barricade to take the majority of the weight, and I'm just steering it and pulling the trigger. So, and then as we discussed earlier, when you are pulling the trigger, make sure it's a good clean pull. And just while I was at the US, even during the training course, we're shooting just head targets over the tops of vehicles, and I shot this one, and I think one of the guys that was running with our group running the course, I shot the stage, and I think I had one go off the right edge, and so I ended up holding close to the left edge of the target, and he pulled me up at the end, and he basically said, "Where were you aiming on the target?" And I said, "I was favouring left edge." He's like, "Get down behind the rifle and just pull one round down range and hold centre of the target." And I did, and I hit centre of the target. and he says, "You're jerking the trigger." So just picking up on those little things, you can create false things for yourself during a match or during shooting. When you're rushing. So just building a process, if that makes sense as well. So
absolutely, yeah. Awesome, man, awesome. No doubt, because that's one of my goals is to dry fire 4 times a week. So I'm gonna pinch some of that advice and do that. And but I think I did a session last night, and all I did was just sit behind the gun and pull the trigger, because it's, as you know, it's a new gun, and I haven't actually spent time behind it. So I was just adjusting the cheek piece and doing all those things. But yeah, I will have to up that shortly. All right, we've got a question come through late on from Ian Nolan. Anyway, Ian, that bloke. He asks, and this could go very deep very quick, so we'll say he's put in capital letters basic. What is your basic reloading process? So from having your brass come out of your gun through to having your loads, what things do you do, and do you do each time, or do you only do every second, third, fifth, whatever it might be?
It's basic, and I'll keep it very basic. Once I get home from a match, and this is, I've worked up to this process, but I deprime, clean it, full length resize, and reload.
Yeah, right.
And next size, full length, resize the case and reload from there. So it's just only a few really simple steps. Is deprime, clean.
Yeah.
I've started playing with annealing because that wasn't a part of my basic process. So really that's all the process was deprime, clean.
Yep.
And resize and reload. I have never, as bad as it sounds, I should put more effort in. I've never trimmed cases, measured case length, anything like that. I'll sham for the necks if they need it. But basically it's just deprime, clean, resize and get going again. So
what do you use to clean, Ash? What are you using for that?
Starting out, I would just get some steel wool and I would clean the carbon off the outside of the neck, and then I'd get a copper brush and run it the inside of the case over the copper brush, and that was it.
Yep.
But now I use a stainless tumbler.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the questions that's come up regularly about that sort of thing is, what do you do to dry your brass afterwards? Do you just air dry it? Or?
Gosh. Yeah, just air dry.
Yep.
I just drop them in a bucket of hot water and then shake as much water out of them as I can, and then just let them air dry for a day or so.
Yeah. I guess if you're not trying to pound rounds through quickly, and you got the time, you can definitely do that for sure.
Yeah, if I want to rush it through, I'll try the oven, or I'll sit in front of a heater or something, just blow hot air onto it. But
yeah, cool. Yeah. Cool. Are you one of the guys who's organised enough to have their rounds loaded early, or are you a night before fresh ammo is the best ammo?
This year I was. Last year, not at all. Or the year before. So I was ready. I had all my brass prepped to load the 4 weeks before the first match, so I was ready to go.
Yeah. Okay.
But usually, I'd be loading the night before. We'd have to fly out or drive out anywhere. So, I was trying to get my butt into gear this year, but haven't had a chance to give it a go yet. So.
The plan is good, and I like the enthusiasm. We just haven't quite had the ability to execute on that plan at this stage.
Exactly right.
Give it time.
It doesn't count yet. So, yeah.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Well, awesome to have you on, mate. Always good to get your perspective on things. I think you break things down really cleanly and very not simplistic. That's not the word, but a very direct approach as to what you do. And I love that you will say, I don't do that, or I don't know how to do that, or that's something I'm really working on. I think it's a really honest way to be. So, we've got. I'll see if we can. We've got a couple of quick questions here. Do you guys use mini lathe type trimmers? Ash doesn't trim. I use a Garord trimmer, which are an expensive way of doing a very basic process. But if you do Reddings, Hornadies, that sort of stuff's generally good if you're going down that path. Thursday night, perhaps we'll cover that. Thursday night's reloading night, Ash. So we'll try and cover that
Easy.
with our guest there. And Conservative Sniper Hunter says, what equipment would you like to purchase that you don't currently have that you believe will help you in PRS matches? Is there anything on that list, Ash?
Yeah, I reckon tripod is probably one thing I want to get better at with as well. So that'll probably be the next item.
Yeah, cool. I can highly recommend Leo photos that are going to arrive this week. But anyway, that's
there you go.
that's the way.
That wasn't a planned plug, but it worked.
Appreciate it, man. Cheers. Cheers. Awesome. All right, mate. Well, thank you so much. There's a few thank yous floating around in the chat, so appreciate that, man. And good luck once we do get the season back on. But it sounds like it's gonna time well with your recovery. So that has worked out well. If you how do people get in touch with you if they're looking to get something done on the gun?
Yeah, you can give us a call or email or Facebook or Instagram at APRS Rifles.
Yep.
Or you can contact me directly, and even if it's APRS or any other question wise, happy to answer any questions you've got. So yeah, I'm quiet, so I probably don't seem like I'm happy to answer, but yeah, definitely happy to answer any questions you've got. So yeah.
No, perfect, mate. That's good. And you did answer questions, so done well, mate. All good. Excellent, Ash. We will catch up with you shortly. Cheers, man. Cheers. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching and being part of that. If you are on